Morning. Like one?
Well, thanks.
You know, children are being mass murdered here in Appleton and around the state and the country. This is happening to your neighbors. Does that bother you? Does it not bother you?
Where are you from?
Originally from Kansas.
Okay. Do you live here in Appleton?
Off and on. I'm a traveling street preacher.
Okay. Are you affiliated or ordained with a particular denomination?
I fellowship with a couple different churches. I'm going to a home fellowship after this, Lord willing.
Okay. Here in Appleton?
Yeah, here. And then,
Where is it?
well, we meet in a house fellowship.
Whose house?
The Gabriel's.
Okay. What do you believe? Are you a Christian?
Yes, that's why I do this.
Okay.
Well, what do you believe?
Well, if you listen to our beliefs, you'd know that you're preaching to the choir, as it were.
Well, is the choir out at the places where they murder children? Because I don't see the choir out there. I know because I've been out to the Planned Parenthood here in Appleton. I've been to the murder mills in Milwaukee, and I don't see the choir out there. I don't see the choir reaching out to those in office, demanding that we abolish abortion, that they abolish abortion. So the choir is missing in action. That's a problem. But that's why I'm here, because the choir is nowhere to be found on the streets, in front of the murder mills, the abortion mills, where the parents come to murder their children. I mean, I know you agree that abortion is murder. That's why I come here. But the problem is, most of those who say abortion is murder, they don't act like children are being mass murdered.
I think that's a valid perspective to have. I disagree about action and the effect of our actions in the community.
Well, I mean, I've been out to the Planned Parenthood here in Appleton, and the sidewalk's usually empty, or near empty. That's a problem. That's the church not loving her neighbor as herself.
That's your perspective on the best approach to love our neighbor.
Well, it's not. I mean, there are different ways of doing it. As far as going out to many ways of doing it, going out to the places where they're actually being murdered on site, reaching the people that they're murdering their children, going to the legislatures, which I've done that, going to the streets, preaching the gospel, I do that. Well, the problem is I don't want to make assumptions about here because I don't know what everyone does, but the problem is a lot of people just give money to organizations and they won't do the work themselves. They basically pay other people to obey God for them. And the result is 47 years of mass murder, child sacrifice, and hardly a peep from the churches. The sidewalks in front of these murder mills are empty, or near empty.
I disagree that there are hardly a peep from churches. I think there's continual speech from Christians and Christian churches, not just in Appleton, but all over the country.
Not that I hear. I mean, do you know how old I was when I found out about this Holocaust? 22. My church has never said a word from the pulpit, not a word.
Well, your experience is not what is happening everywhere.
It kind of is. I mean, because I talk to other people who have the same experience. The pastor never mentions or barely mentions abortion. They never go out to the murder mills. I know there are people around the country that go out to the murder mills by themselves, including women. That they're desperate to get help because no one's joining them, and because the abortion mills all over the country. I've been to a lot of them. Sidewalks empty or near empty, and the churches are guilty.
Well, I disagree about that. So.
Well, does anyone here go out to the places where they murder children?
Well, you are saying that your approach is the only right approach for addressing the problem of abortion in our country, in our community.
Well, there are different approaches. The problem is that the churches in the pro-life movement, they do all this stuff that's easy to do, but they don't do the hard work going out to where they're murdering children. That's hard.
See, I disagree. They do the hard work, but your approach, you're saying, is the only effective approach, and it's difficult, and that's why churches aren't doing that.
Well, they don't want to do it because they know it's hard. They're going to get screamed at, yelled at, spit on, threatened, and well, it's living out loving your neighbor as yourself. When you know your neighbor's in danger, you don't just pray for them. You don't just vote for people who will stop the murders. You go there to save him from being murdered. Just as Proverbs 24:11 commands us to do. You deliver those who are being taken away to death. Hold them back from stumbling to the slaughter. And we're not doing that. We know when they're being murdered, but we're not going out there.
I don't agree with your tactics.
Most people don't.
I agree with your policy, with what you're trying to, your goals. So I want to wish you well on your goal, and I disagree with your tactics. So I also disagree with your beliefs that your approach is the only right approach, and it's the only thing that will affect widespread change in our community and our society. I think that this actually will do the opposite of that.
Well, how do you know? Unless you do it. I didn't say this is the only approach. The problem is Christians, churchgoers, they're not living like this is a daily emergency situation. We're not living like there are mass murders taking place in our community, in our city, in our state every day. We're not living like it.
That's only according to your opinion about what the right tactic is, to what the right strategy is to do something about it.
Well, look at the fruits of 47 years. I mean, you still have murder mills that are open in Wisconsin. Even during the shutdown, the churches were shut down, and the murder mills in Milwaukee were open. I was out there, and the sidewalks were still empty. Planned Parenthood here in Appleton was still open, and the churches were closed down. So I mean, is it really working what the vast majority are doing? I mean, you have state-sanctioned mass murder for 47 years. So are we really doing what's effective or right, or are we really obeying God, loving our neighbor?
The reason that there are fewer and fewer people protesting how you're protesting is because it's not an effective form of outreach. It's not an effective strategy to get to your goal.
Well, how do you know that, though?
I know that.
How?
Because it is a decreasing strategy, because it's not effective.
Well, can you prove it's not effective? Because I actually know it is effective. I know because I do it a lot. I mean, does this bother you that this is how we treat children every day? Does that bother you? Can you look at the image?
Your strategy is not effective.
You don't know that.
I do know that.
Yeah, you've yet to prove it. Why are you laughing?
Because I think you should have a good day. Have a good day.
Well, your preborn neighbors are going to have a good day tomorrow when they're being murdered. Please consider your ways, sir.
God bless you.
He blesses me. But he blessed those if they don't obey him. I don't know if that's you, sir, but please don't be indifferent if you are. Don't be indifferent to your preborn neighbors. They need your help. Please consider what the Lord has brought to you today. You too, young man. Please consider what the Lord has brought to you today. Don't ignore it. Don't despise it. These are your neighbors, and they need your help. They need your help.